Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast for our second rewind show, looking back at the last time we played our upcoming opponents this weekend, as well as another, perhaps more obscure match from the years gone by. Hopefully you enjoyed last week's look back at Liverpool, and this show will, if it hasn't already, become part of your weekly Blue Monday build-up to the forthcoming weekend. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed a slight difference to the setup from last week, but I shall just leave that there. I won't tell you. If you want to show off and stick a comment and let us know if you spotted it, then please do. As ever, joining me for the Rewind show is David Diamond. Dave, you've chosen the second of today's matches, which we'll go through in the second half of the show. How are you getting on? And are you looking forward to Kieran McKenna pitting his wits against Pep on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Can't wait for that. I mean, that is one of the fixtures that one of the fixtures that obviously you look for when they come out. So. Yeah, with it being so early in the season, yeah, still can't convince myself whether that's a good thing or bad thing. But
I think we'll convince ourselves it's a good thing, shall we?
I think so. Yeah, it is, because it is. Yeah. And then it will certainly be something to behold. And as you know, this fixture, I think more than anything, just brings it home to us how far we've come, really.
Yeah, certainly does. And obviously to help that cause, Thursday evening, as ever, Rich and Seb will be here to try to get you up to speed with Manchester City's raft of unknown players that Seb's managed to dig out some sort of stat and research on.
Seb, he's gone from literally a couple of seasons ago, some obscure left-sided midfield player for Forest Green Rovers to they got Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, and Rodri. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, incredible.
And then on Sunday, as ever, the flagship Sunday evening, where we'll dissect the unexpected victory from
I'll take a boring 0-0. I'll take a boring 0-0 now. Not great for the pod, but yeah, I'd certainly take that.
Anyway, get those shows in your diary along with this one. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I say hopefully we can start forming part of your weekly ritual, getting ready for the upcoming weekend. As ever, please do comment with your own memories from the matches that we're going to take a look at, especially if you were there. And of course, give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe. Help us out in which any way you can. Thank you. So, yes, the last time we played Manchester City away in what was then the FA Carling Premiership was Saturday, the 25th of November 2000. So, similar to this season upcoming, really, it's our first season back in the big time following the Wembley win. And again, as we spoke about last week in regards to the Liverpool game, we'd sort of settled into life quite nicely in the top flight. I'll pop up the league table as we did last week. And yeah, as you can see, apologies for those listening, but Ipswich Town find themselves after 14 games. We found ourselves sitting fifth in the league table. Our opponents, Manchester City, found themselves in 16th. So yeah, Dave, we'd sort of acclimatised pretty nicely to the
incredibly
2000 Premiership.
Just incredibly well. I mean, just a little bit about the start of that season. So we'd had the second game. We'd lost at Spurs. I think we'd given a reasonable account of. I think Mark Venus actually scored the quickest goal of the season of the Premier League that season after like I don't know a couple of minutes against Spurs, and then we kind of acquitted ourselves well. And then I was at a game we won away at Leeds, and that was really the sort of, again, as we said, perhaps the last. When we did the Liverpool, the 92 Liverpool game, that was kind of a catalyst sort of thing. And the win at Leeds really sort of, we thought, oh, hello, perhaps we won't get relegated, or perhaps we will make a fist of this, and that just set us up so well. And quite rightly, as you see there, but after 14 games, we're like sitting really, really comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's those names from that era of the Premier League. Obviously, we were there, weren't we, playing these teams at the times? But it's sort of the familiar names that you see. And obviously, poor old Bradford City finding themselves bottom of the league at that point. Yeah. But just goes to show, doesn't it, that the fortunes fluctuate in this pyramid of ours. 25th of November, Dave. What was number one in the charts? Do you want? It was
2000, isn't it? Mambo number. Oh, go on.
Jay-Z's wife and her mates.
Oh, Destiny's Child with I don't know. No, go on.
It was the Charlie's Angels theme. What was that? Independent women punk.
Oh yeah. And okay, got that. Okay, yeah, not bad.
Just sort of place it for people in their minds. This is the sort of era we're talking about.
Yeah.
And again, as we did last week, do you want to guess who the cover star was of this?
The Man City away program, the cover star, I would say, it's got to be the GOAT, hasn't it? Sean Goater.
I thought you were going to get it. It was the goalie.
Oh, the goalie, Nicky Weaver. Look at that. That's an interesting pose there.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So we're able to, as long as I can keep finding the programs, we'll keep playing that little game just to amuse ourselves, if no one else. So as I say, we. The solid results continued really with this result, and we may settle for similar this weekend, Dave, as Town run out winners. I'll get the teams up. Here they come. Apologies for Ipswich being on the left when they were the away team, but I did get the colour of the shirts right. From our perspective, Dave, similar to when we spoke about Liverpool. There's some familiar names from a recently promoted team there, isn't there? Albeit,
I mean, one that leaped out to me was John Scales. I just almost completely forgotten about him. I mean, this must have been one of his handful of appearances. I can't remember him. I can't recall him making many. So clearly that day we were missing John McGreal, weren't we?
There was John McGreal. Reading Phil's report in TWTD. He was a little surprised that Titus Bramble hadn't played. There was some surprise that John Scales had played instead.
Yeah. Obviously, ultimately it didn't do us too much harm, but yeah, I mean that's the core of that side for that season, really. Take Scales out over the midfield was fairly consistent of Midgilton, Holland, and Jermaine Wright, I think, appearance-wise, and obviously, Stewart was just embarking on this incredible season, wasn't he? He was just, as his 2 goals in this match showed.
Yeah, and the Manchester City team, again, has got some familiar and some links to Ipswich Town there in their setup. Spencer Pryor's an interesting one, who the ex-Norwich centre-half playing there. And player I always liked, and I always wondered whether we were linked to him. Ian Bishop, centre midfield. He was a lovely player, wasn't he? I always hoped that we'd sort of sign him.
They did great service with West Ham. I know he's really liked at West Ham, but really, really good player. And the other name in that City team that obviously other than the GOAT up front, the other name that leaps out is Haaland. I think it really all brings it home, really, doesn't it? Just how long ago it was, really, because that is
just for our younger viewers. Yeah, that's right. It's not Erling hasn't been there for 24 years, sadly.
It is Alf Inge Haaland, father of the said Erling Haaland, and gosh, it must have been around about that time. It was at Leeds. Who was he playing for when he had the altercation with Keane? It must have been. Was it Leeds?
It was Leeds, I think.
It was Leeds, wasn't it? Of course, it was. Yeah. Oh, that was a nasty one. And a very, very, very young Sean Wright Phillips. Again, very young, but I mean, that's just looking at that. It's just again a solid City team, but we were, as you can see, they were sort of languishing, and we were obviously riding high in 5th. And spoiler alert, ultimately to finish there incredibly. And this is when the side was really starting to get into its stride, and certainly Marcus Stewart was.
Yeah, that's right. And just a quick note on Manchester City. Joe Royals, Manchester City. He
Yes,
only
of course.
he could only name 3 subs that day for some reason.
Wow.
They only had 3 subs, and the referee was Mr. Mike Dean.
There you go. Wow.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
So yes, this and as I spoiler alert, we're going to talk about it. We ended up winning this game. It was actually our 6th away win of the season
Mad.
in November. We got to November.
Absolute madness, isn't it, in the Premier League?
Yeah,
Crazy.
absolutely.
What a season.
And Phil referenced it just now. Phil's TWTD report. The opening line, or one of the opening lines: "Town made heavy weather of what should have been an easy victory over Manchester City."
Yeah, well, they were 3-0 up, and then did allow them to get back into the game, and seeing when Howie scored, Steve Howie scored City's second goal in the 81st minute. Obviously, quite a way to go as well. But I think two things strike me about this. Well, the Stewart diving header for our first goal was just sublime, wasn't it? I mean, the cross is one thing. The cross is a thing of beauty, but the header is just brilliant, just outside the 6-yard box, launches himself horizontal. And a very rare goal by Herman Hreidissen. Great header, again, from a corner, same side. And
managed to stay on the pitch with his celebration
this
as
is
well.
my point about Hreidissen. So Hreidissen scored 2 goals, I think, in his Ipswich career, which is over 100 games, 2 goals. But he'd probably be more remembered for the goal that he didn't score. And the crowd,
Mark Birchall, wasn't it?
Mark Birchall against, I think it was Bradford City. Well, you mentioned Bradford City. I believe it was Bradford City, I think it was. Mark, someone will be shouting at me and screaming at me. Mark Birchall deflection when he did the incredible stage dive into what was the then North Stand. But and again another City name that came on. Paolo One Shot comes on and gets them back in the game for 3-1. A really strange second goal from Stewart, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of a really deep cross, wasn't it? Was it Matt Holland? Possibly a really deep cross, and he sort of took it right at the far post and took it.
It's really odd. If you look at it on the TV, he's almost out of shot because the cross comes in and someone goes for it. It might have been Armstrong goes for it in the middle. Could have been. Possibly would it have been Armstrong? Maybe it was Scope. Maybe it was Scully. Can't remember. Seems to go. Yeah, Armstrong wouldn't have been there yet, would he? I think it was perhaps Scowcroft seems to go for it, misses it, and then seemingly sort of running out, and suddenly Stewart comes into shot out of nowhere with no one around him, and kind of just walks around the keeper and walks it in Marcus Stewart fashion, doesn't he? But
and almost got a hat trick in the last few minutes. Hit the crossbar in the last few minutes.
Wasn't it also? Did he not also score an absolute worldie in a? Was that the season of the League Cup game when someone scores an absolute worldie and it gets abandoned?
Due to the rain.
Yeah,
raining in Manchester.
Yes, odd. Do you remember that? Yeah, I'm sure. And funny enough, another Hreidissen goal scores in the replay. It's Hreidissen has a one-on-one with, I think, Weaver and tucks it away for the winner. I think, doesn't he? Is that Hreidissen? Or was it Venus? Oh, my could have been Venus. My mind is playing tricks with me. Probably was Venus.
That's why they've chosen us for this show, folks.
I know.
What happened.
I mean, quite again, another thing. Just to comment on that season. Look, who was on the bench for us, David Johnson. So Johnson comes on for Scully, and you're quite right. City subs are interesting. Danny Tiato, Paolo One Shot, Jeff Whitley for Dunn, Gota and Paul Dickoff. Yeah, and that gets us to 27 points after 15 games. I think we'd take that this season, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the table after the game, we'd actually moved up to 3rd after this match.
No.
Behind Manchester United and 1 point behind Arsenal after 15
unbelievable,
games.
Mate. Unbelievable. And of course, the spoiler alert, latterly in the season, which who knows we might get to, was the actual game at Portman Road where City were, poor old Joe, relegated to the Championship, of course.
Yeah. So in terms of performances on the back of promotions, the one from last week where we spoke about the 90, 92, 93, and this one here in terms of where we found ourselves after 15 games. No pressure, Kieran and the boys.
We want to be at least halfway or pushing for Europe. Yeah, I mean, and was just thinking about this also. Presumably, this will be our very first game at the Etihad, won't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people looking forward to. Hopefully, people have managed to get their tickets. And, are looking forward to the match this weekend. Perfect. Well, that's number one done. A quick word from our friends at Atwells, and we'll be back for number two.
Blue Monday is proudly brought to you in partnership with our friends at Atwells Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for work on property or business law. Their client care has repeatedly been recognised as outstanding, and they are people-focused with a plain English approach which sets them apart. They have offices in Ipswich, Colchester and London, and to find out more, head to atwells.com.
So, Dave, we now find ourselves heading a little bit further back to 1994, February the 5th, 1994 to be precise. And number one in the charts was our friend Professor Brian Cox.
Dream, yeah, of course, Dream,
yeah.
Things can only get better. Well, there you go.
Yep. And they could do after this match because Town lost 2-1 to Manchester City.
They did.
Let's get the table up, find out where we were at. So, sorry, again, apologies if you're listening, but Ipswich Town found themselves in 14th place after 26 games. Nice, solid enough mid-table position. Yeah, whereas Manchester City found themselves in 20th out of what was 22 teams in the Premier League at that point. So they found themselves in the relegation spots with 21 points after 25 games. So again, Dave, a pretty solid, reasonable campaign was more than halfway underway.
Yeah, it was. I mean, what I remember about this campaign...
A lot of draws, though.
Yeah, a lot of draws, and I don't think the football was particularly pretty. I don't think I can recall about this season, and certainly I can remember one or two opposition managers saying, particularly, I think we managed to somehow got a backs to the wall 0-0 draw at Old Trafford at some point, and it might have been around Christmas time this season, and we're absolutely slated for it. What we'd given for that similar result a year later, but anyway. This is a season when ultimately we perhaps should have gone down and were saved as Brian Steen and all that. We can get into that. Mark. But looking at again, some interesting, just looking at the teams, Craig. We'll get onto the Man City team in a minute, which I'd like to perhaps speak about, particularly one player. But at the Town side.
Before we do that, we're going to get the programme up, Dave.
Oh, here we go. You've done it again.
Do you want to name the cover star of the Manchester City programme for this game?
I'm going to say Steve Lomas.
It's a player that's not known for his time at Manchester City. He's far, 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 far better known for his time at a different club.
It's David Rocastle. Mate.
David Rocastle.
Playing against Arsenal there by the look of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that just, I know we'll get onto the Town side. That just leapt out. We'll get onto him in a minute, but just, looking at the Town side, quite the lesser spotted Eddie Yowd's in there.
Yeah. He's obviously in his just taken off the treatment table for this potentially just this one game.
I remember him signing, don't you? And I think he was injured in his very first game. I believe it was away at Derby. And he,
£250,000. He was the new Alan Hansen, I think someone had described him as before.
From Everton, I remember. Yeah, just got. I think could have been really nice. Might have even done his ACL in that first game. It was a bad one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but as you can see, in terms of what Dave was saying about the football, this was the period where we had McGivern, didn't he? John Lyle had moved upstairs, hadn't he? Become general manager or whatever they happened to call him, and Mick McGivern took over, and it was a needs must tactics, wasn't it? Really,
in my 1-18 or whatever, or the Ipswich manager thing, I don't even include Mick McGivern. I think I just pull up.
Sorry, Mick, if you're listening.
Yeah, sorry, Mick. Yeah, no, I think I just tried to gloss over this season because it was even more than the next season. It was just really so uninspiring. But if you remember, we had a really good start to the season. Ian Marshall came in and was scoring for fun at the start of the season, I believe, and we were top. I remember after about three or four games. I think we were top actually. But yeah, certain players in there. You've got our good friend Jules Hughes. We've got Stewie Slater, his mate, his golf buddy.
Juggling golf balls, is he?
Exactly. Who basically sort of kind of flattered to deceive. Came with a big reputation from Celtic, didn't he? Obviously done, fairly was burst onto the scene as a real youngster at West Ham. Then he got a big move to Celtic, and we signed him, I think, for pretty big money as well from Celtic. And never again injuries, and they always thought he was a bit lightweight. To be fair, never really. And we'd be just up there wearing the number 9 shirt, cult hero. Would we say Boncho?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But there's still a few of the promotion team there. Johnny Walk's still going. Bless him.
Warhorse. He's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's no Ian Wright in the opposition to speed past him. Bless him.
No, there isn't. But we get to the Man City side, and as we mentioned on the front of the program, David Rocastle, such a sad. Taken far too young. I believe at 33, I think it was. That's way back 2001. Now I looked earlier. What a player! Revered obviously very much revered at Arsenal. I think he only played a handful, maybe some would say handful, 20 games maybe for Man City. I even want to say he had a little spell up the Rud, didn't he?
Did he really?
I think he did.
I
think he did. Again, someone will shout me down there, but what a player! And we still it's an odd one. Again, looking back at the highlights of this one, Marsh scores for us after I think only could describe calamitous back pass from Gary Flitcroft.
Yeah, a blind back pass, we'll call that, shall we?
It's one of them, isn't it? Oh no.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think we were in the wrong place at the wrong time here, because this was the game, people might remember it, for Franny Lee took over as chairman.
That's right.
At this game, and
that's right.
had invested his toilet roll millions
empire
to become chairman of Manchester City. And I just read a little bit here from the Manchester Evening News of the day. You could almost feel sorry for poor Ipswich, who must have felt like gate crashers at a welcome home party.
Yeah.
They weren't just playing Manchester City, they were up against a team which would have run through a brick wall to please their new chairman.
So like I said, we went one up, and then again, you can see it on the footage. A ridiculous bit of skill from David Rocastle, where he kind of, I don't know what he does. He sort of like does a couple of drag backs at least, sort of pirouette. Not the greatest defending, perhaps I'd say, from potentially Linegan and Thompson, I would say perhaps, and then puts a great ball in for Griffiths to score the equaliser, and then not long before half time, then Gary Flitcroft redeems himself, Craig, later on.
Yes, he does. Sadly for us, there's a deep free kick, and it's sort of forced home by Flitcroft to, as you say, redeems his blind back pass from earlier in the game. And I say, sadly, after this, we just sort of tailed off, didn't we, towards the end of the season? As you say, Dave, it was a bit of a slog, and we had a last day reprieve from Mark.
Yeah, we were
Steen,
down,
but probably only prolonged the agony, didn't it?
We should have gone down. Yeah, it didn't do us, and that next season done us no favours at all, did it? We should have gone down that season, really. As you say, Steen scored. We somehow scraped a 1-1 draw. 0-0 draw. Again, another backs to the walls sums up this season. A 0-0 draw last game of the season at Blackburn, and I think we were pretty much done, weren't we? Because Sheffield United, I believe it wasn't it? We're getting a point at Chelsea until Mark Steen scored and got us a reprieve, but they just papered over the cracks. We scored 35 league goals all season. I mean, it was dire. I can remember this season. Didn't concede that many, 58, not horrendous. What would have given that the next season? But just scraped by, finished 19th on 43 points. Again, but a couple of wins. City finished 16th on 45. So, yeah, it was not a great season, that one. And as I said, we probably should have gone next season.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Well, as I say, slim pickings, as Dave said, about what we could or couldn't choose from if we limit ourselves to league games. But I think Dave just wanted to have a little reminisce about
David Rocastle. I mean, everyone you hear Ian Wright and those Arsenal players, Mercer and those Arsenal players, they're just absolutely revered, and always England player, just a great player, and just unfortunately another one taken far too young.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, wonderful. Thank you very much again for your time, Dave. It's been great fun just to look back at these.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, these games. We'll be back again soon for the next one. Thanks for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back. As I said before, we'll be back on Thursday. Rich and Seb for our pre-match, and then Sunday night following the match against Manchester City on Saturday to pick the bones out of what is hopefully the former of these two games we've just spoken about rather than the latter. This has been the Rewind Show on Blue Monday and Ipswich Town podcast. See you in a bit.